All right, guys, so we're back at the Modest House, and we've been kind of on and off because we've got a couple different construction projects going. One being the stone, which you guys have probably seen by now, but we kind of need to transition. We've got our concrete contractor. They're going to be doing the interior concrete for the house, which means that'll allow us to finish our doors, things like this, where once this concrete is poured, we can set our door, finish the stone, get the trim. But what that allows us to do is kind of walk away from that, and we're going to start working on our Smartside. So this is all going to be board and batten. It's actually a pretty easy install because we just go ahead and put up our board, come back, and all of our trims, both on the windows, the doors, the freeze boards, corner trims, that all goes on afterwards. So we're going to go ahead and start on this wall where we have no stone. We'll just leave this area undone. And the first thing that I want to talk about with Smartside and board and batten is thinking about your trim layout and where that's going to end up for your windows and doors. And what I mean by that is if you've got your board and batten spaced and you've got a batten that's going to go right on a door trim, it's kind of ugly. It doesn't look well thought out. So we're going to spend a couple minutes. We're going to pull a tape measure on this wall, figure out the best place to put our board, and then I'll tell you what we come up with. Right here is the center of this window, right? Okay. That means your corner's good because you're 16 inches in, give or take, because we're going to be adding an eighth. This is going to be a batten, and then I've got a batten over here, which is good, and I'll have a batten over here, which is good, okay? Right here. So I'm 6 inches away. Now, the thing is, with Smartside, board and batten, it's 16 inches. It actually measures 16 inches, but you have to space it between the pieces for expansion, contraction. So we've learned to give ourselves ample space as we go down the wall. So Greg, if we start on this window and you're gonna hold me center, every 16 and an eighth or 3/16, we're gonna have a piece. So by the time I get to this window, this 16 inch mark is actually going to be, what are we at, Greg? 12, so that's 9. This is 10. So in theory, my board is not going to end here. It's actually going to end more over here. So look at this. We're going to have a 3.5 inch piece of trim, you know, going around this, a window casing, and then this batten is going to be in a horrible spot, okay? So this is the sort of thing that we're looking for because you don't want a piece of trim. Imagine this is my trim. You don't want a batten to get cut around the corner of the trim or to be butted up like on top of it. It would be nice if you had that stuff thought out. So Greg, we're going to have to move this just a little bit.
Okay, which way?
Well, let's keep going so we know that we want to push this probably to our left, right?
Well, so here's the thing. If we start with a board in between the windows, we won't gain as much.
Well, that's exactly what
less pieces.
That's exactly right. So we're getting there, you know. This, I am way ahead. So my batten is way ahead of this. So my question, Greg, is if I start in the center here on this window, okay, I'm at 16 feet. Every 4 feet, see
that won't work for me though. I'm 4 inches away.
You're gonna get tighter though. What is your, that's 32? You're at 32?
This is 32, yeah.
So 3, 6, 12. So we're 10 boards away, which means you're gonna be roughly, we could go 3/16. That's gonna be, is my math correct? That's 30/16, which is almost 2 inches that way. So here, let's do this.
Okay.
Let's kind of focus on this being center. Now come over here and hold me center on this and let's see where we're gonna end up in our door. Because right now this is our best option.
Okay, where's your mark?
Just center.
Oh, okay.
All right, so this is now unfortunate. Here we have a batten right here, which is gonna be right next to our door trim. So, what we're learning is maybe the batten in the center of the window is not right and we need to do a board in the center of the window, Greg.
Yeah.
So,
honestly, probably. But that's
gonna be tight. Let's see what it does that way. Here.
This is, what it's gonna do is it's gonna push it closer to our corner.
Go the other way.
So the corners.
But we might grow by then. Okay. Hold me at 8 inches right in the center. 8 inches. Okay, because that window will work because those battens will go right on the corner of the window. Okay. Here we're here, so this is good. We're not going to grow that much.
Yep.
Here we're going to grow, so we're going to be far enough away. Okay. So we're good here. And then we'll do the math on this. We're almost exactly on a end of a board on the corner. So even if we grew 8 inches, which we're not, we would still be good on this end. So that might be our ticket. Let's see what it does to the door. We're good. We got a batten right here. Even if it grows a couple inches, we're still plenty far away. This one, even if it grows a couple inches, which we'll do the math just to be sure, because this is the only one I'm worried about. Also, we're right on a corner. 13 boards, Greg, over. So 13 times 3/16. 39. Perfect. It's only 2 7/16. That's going to be the ticket. So the whole point of this little intro tutorial, guys, is to say that it's very easy to just show up and start throwing up siding, but if you spend a couple minutes measuring layout, the job will look as good as possible, and it will be easier for you as the installer, not having to make things that don't look good for your client. So we're gonna go ahead and run a board in the center of this window, which, Greg, I would venture to guess, this is pretty close to the middle of the building, which if you think about it, this is a 48-foot long wall. So that's why we are almost exactly on the end of a board when we get to the corner. So this works out really nice. We did not plan these window layouts for this. We just learned that over time, usually anything can work if you just spend a couple minutes doing layouts. So we're gonna get a couple marks on the wall. We'll get our first pieces cut and we'll start this install. All right, let's figure out where 147 is off of this. I'm just making sure that we're in the hole. So the nice thing is about cutting board is you want to be as close to exact as possible, but since we're covering everything up with the trim, really what we need is a finished edge down at the bottom, and whatever kind of error maybe that happens if you don't have these lined up perfectly, it's going to go up on the top and it's going to get covered with a piece of trim. So it really is, I think, an easy product to install. 147, we cut it here, it shouldn't flop. I think we're good.
Touch-up paints in the trailer, you said?
Yeah. We're so close on this window to being perfect. I think this is where we start. Okay. So we'll get this piece, and then run our first full.
Okay.
Okay.
I like it.
Heck yeah, you do. You love it.
I want some more.
So I need 3/8 and 3/16. That's 9/16 off of 41 3/4. All right, so there's my spacer. Here, I'll give you one too, just for fun. Hey, I want a disclaimer put up on the screen right now. We're only gonna be tacking these sheets up because Kyle forgot. It's kind of funny because I remembered to put a box of nails, my Paslode cordless siding nailer, actually 2 cordless siding nailers, one for me, one for Greg. Put them in the back of my truck. Then this weekend, today's Monday, I went and did some errands and I pulled everything out of my truck and then I forgot to put it all back. So we've got 4 coils of nails and a hose gun nailer, which is okay. But we'll come back and we'll pop all these nails in later. I want to make sure that I have enough nails to get as much material up, and then we'll come back. So, you know, it is what it is. What the heck? Where'd my line go? Oh, there it is.
It's a pretty bold line, actually.
Heck yeah, it is. Stabila, buddy. All right, so 3/8, guys. This is 3/8 thick. That's the material. That's also the distance that we got to be off of our metal flashing down at grade. So that's what I'm going to use. And then we also want to have our 3/16 up here. So when I did my math, I took 3/8, 3/16, and I took them off. So now we're going to line this sucker up right on the edge. First one is very important because it's going to kind of set off the wall. So let's go ahead and get a nail down here. I didn't put nails in here yet. Come on, man.
You're so stupid.
I'm so dumb. Greg.
Yep.
You do realize what we forgot, right?
There's probably a lot of things we forgot.
Window header flashing. So we can't put our we can't put our board above the windows. Greg.
Come on, man.
Remember I said we had to do that?
I told you not to forget it.
Hey, you know what also sucks? These are 0 degree.
Mother, son of a. Wait, what so about tacking everything up, you just gonna get a framer?
I got 1 full coil on me, which is probably like 200 nails or something, 100 and some. So yeah, back to what I was saying. We're gonna be just putting these up, Greg. Beauteous Maximus.
3/8 off the edge.
What now?
3/8 off the edge for nailing.
Yeah.
Every 8 inches.
Well, we're not gonna do that now.
Not, yeah. Now that you got that tacked, here, you try.
You don't ever want to blow through your siding. You'd rather pound a nail in than have it blow through. We just want to basically set them right tight to the material.
Yikes.
I think these are for my other nailer, Greg.
The Everwind.
No, the Bostitch. What a Monday. I gotta get my system figured out here, Greg. This is why you carry 2 Martinez's at all times. You just never quite know when you're gonna need to do some Smartside, and it's great for spacing.
How's that hook?
I gotta get my setup going here, dude. I'm a little bit discombobulated.
We are not with it this morning.
No, I would agree with that statement.
So if that's tacked up, let me get this top tacked up.
No. We gotta get it lasered, man. Okay.
And that kind of puts me about where I want mine.
Well, that's kind of a good thing. Wait.
Yeah. Look pretty tight in the middle.
Hello? Dang, I need to figure this out. Does this spin? No, it doesn't. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do because this is really stupid, is I'm gonna go and put my tape down.
I like it.
How do you like that?
I like it.
How do you like them apples?
Them apples do be crisp.
They be crisp and tasty.
Honey crisp. Gotta sneeze.
Don't do it, dude.
You ruined it.
Okay, good. You're welcome. This is a much better accurate representation. So tight, we are 76 3/4. I need flashing 3/8. We're gonna go 77 and a 1/8. No, we're gonna go a hair more because I want my flashing thickness, you know? Sorry about that, buddy. Sorry, man. Let's do that one more time. I forgot already. 77 and 3/16 maybe? Yeah. Okay. 77 3/16. It's gonna get covered by our trim, but it's more important to have we need a gap enough so that we have 3/8 of a gap above our head flashing. So I could do just about anything I wanted. 77 3/16. I just can't seem to get any tighter. You know, I'm gonna need like a brush or something. Man, we're gonna work in the shade over here. Kinda nice. Perfect. Okay. I like it.
I'm just gonna put one in this top corner here. Actually, I could do the whole top, never mind.
Do the whole top, buddy.
Yep.
It'll be all good. So I think, like I said, we need head flashing up here over the window because if water gets into these cracks, we want it to come out and go over the window. I think it will ultimately because we have it all flashed, but the way we do our flashings, it also gives us an end dam so that water doesn't go to the top of the window, then run over to the side and down here. So we're not gonna do any more over the window. We'll get our flashing tucked up in there, but we can come across the front and then we just keep going. That's another nice thing about board and batten. You can just, I could leave this piece out entirely and just start right here with these two pieces. And we might very well do that for this piece so that we don't have to fight getting the flashing in. We can just slide it in, nail it, and then put up that piece. So just a little cool thing about board and batten. And do that. Okay, so that's where I want that.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Come on, buddy.
It's
on that metal. It's around that metal, dude. Okay, we're gonna try to get one in. Kind of a personal favorite of mine is I like to make sure that going in and out of windows, every piece is plumb. Sometimes it's because we're piecing in like this later. Other times it's just because I feel like through the center of a wall, nobody's gonna see if a piece is, slightly off. But if you spent time leveling and plumbing up your windows, and then you put a piece of trim close to that window trim and it looks askew, everybody can see that. So I just think always try to spend a little bit of time on the places that people are gonna have their eye drawn to. And maybe not everybody. Some people don't care about that stuff, but I do. Greg, you're basically just kissing the piece. You see that?
I don't see yours, but
So it's barely
like
on
that.
this piece.
kind of like that, I think. I like yours.
Yeah, I like that. Okay. Nice. Nice and good. Let me hit this. Oh, you liked yours, huh?
I like that spot right there.
All right, so now we can get our flashing up here tomorrow, and we'll just fill this in. It kind of sucks. It's nice to have it all finished, but it's okay. We're not gonna be done today with the whole job, so it doesn't really matter. A little tighter. Yeah, that'll work. All right, yeah, since this one's going into the door, it's kind of our last full here that we can do. We'll have to wait till the door's installed, and that's not gonna be till concrete is poured in the garage, which could be just a little while. So we're just gonna make sure this last one is plumb. I bet you it's really close. Close enough. Don't you think, Greg? Okay, to me, that's like splitting it.
Whoop.
What's your middle look like? Can you see it?
If I get a shadow on, I think we look pretty good, dog. Hit that.
I think so. I can see it going up there. I like it. Heck yeah. And I still have half a coil, which means we can move on to the next wall. And we'll have to come back and tomorrow flash these windows, finish it, and then we'll get it all nailed off. And then we can install window trims, top trim, and our battens. But this is all we will do on this wall. We'll move to this gable end next. All right, so we're gonna start on this gable back here, and we're gonna do something that's not super normal, and that is we're gonna run board all the way up this wall, and then we're gonna cover the gable in horizontal lap siding. And you might be asking, like, why do that? That's a waste of material. Well, mainly because we're gonna have an outside corner trim that goes over top of our board, and we're gonna have a rake trim or whatever you wanna call it up at the soffit line that is also needs to be on the same plane as our corner boards. Otherwise it looks kind of weird. The corner boards are gonna be on top of 3/8 board. Then our rake trims or our freeze board or whatever you call your soffit trim board, that is going to need to be either at the same plane, or it's gonna look a little bit weird maybe when it comes into our corners and doesn't, you know, plane in. You could get away from that. That's not a huge deal. But where I think the problem arises is if you look at this corner here, okay? We're gonna imagine a corner trim going up right here, all the way up to our corner. Then you've got a trim board that's gonna go up the soffit. This up here in the gable is gonna get changed to horizontal lap siding, okay? But our trim that's gonna transition over the board and that our battens are gonna die into is gonna be sticking out pretty far. Now what you're gonna have is this one trim board right here that goes up on the soffit that is sitting back further because it's not gonna be on top of a board. So what we decided to do, and we've done it before, and it worked quite well because when you're cutting a gable, you get a lot of scraps. We're just gonna use our scraps and our extra long 16-foot Smartside pieces to basically cover this whole wall. Then we will determine where our trim board goes and our corners, our soffit trim board, our separating, what do we wanna call that? Freeze board, I think.
Board.
That is all gonna be at the same plane. If you're confused, just stay around. And
The only thing they need to know is that all the trims are going to be in plane with each other.
in order to do that, we
And in
either
order
have
to
to
do that-
pad out a trim, which I was thinking we could do that.
No, we don't want to do that.
Bro, I'm a cat though, you know? Why?
It's like you feel it coming, and it just like clicks.
So we're gonna find our center because we've already done the math, like you should on all walls, check layout, and we decided that a board in the center, not a batten in the center, is the best way to go. So I'm just gonna find my exact center, hope it lines up with our peak of our gable, which would be awesome, obviously. Should be 18, 1.5-ish. 18, 1.5. So there's my center right between those lines. And hopefully it lines up with Greg up there at the peak.
We'll find out.
Okay. I'm sure it's close. I doubt it's good. It can't be perfect, you know.
I need to go up a little higher.
That is my center. Hopefully you're close. The good thing is the center of a board, if it's within 1/4, 1/8, you wouldn't notice. Yeah, or maybe to the right, like
Well, we're definitely centered on this guy. Not centered on our J, but centered on our soffit.
yeah, we're centered on the soffit. Okay, so go ahead and get yourself an 8-inch to the left mark or whatever. And I'm gonna get an 8-inch over.
Okay, I gotta do that down.
And we'll start with our first piece.
Let me find where 16 is.
Okay, 6. Now, something I'm gonna say too, because I always feel like this is important. We're doing post frame, it's a little bit different than residential stick frame. We do, you get it?
Yeah.
We do not have a wall plate where we have a first floor top plate with a second story floor joist system or floor truss or whatever, and then another wall on top of that. If you do, then you have to stop and break your vertical siding at that line. You can't run full pieces all the way through that. And that's because, especially in new construction, you get some compaction at that location where outer walls will compact and kind of create a problem in your siding and it can buckle. We're doing balloon frame, post frame, so there is no wall plate system. It's just post all the way up, so we can get away with that. So just so you know, if you're doing 2-story vertical siding, you have to have a trim line where your wall stops and your floor system breaks up the wall. Hopefully that makes sense. My fear is that it's gonna slap forward, you know?
Yeah, that's a very valid fear. I would be scared if I was you too.
Ooh, that's close. That'll do, pig. Dang. This just doesn't happen, guys. I mean, not often. This side, full piece. This side, full piece. Boom, our corner will wrap right over that. That is beautiful. So now I think what you can see is the way that this is gonna get a corner trim, like this, over top. And then way up at the top where Greg is, it's gonna get a piece of trim right where he's nailing. And instead of having to have different levels in plane, we'll just basically run our trims right over top of the board and then run our horizontal lap right over this board with a little bit longer nail. And it makes our job really easy. Freaking kidding me. That's crazy, my guy. That's just crazy.
That's stupid.
It's perfect. Okay, let's paint them and grip it and rip it.
You got the paint?
Yeah, this just doesn't happen often. Literally our cutoffs from down there are just gonna go right up here. We'll have zero waste at all.
Zero. On this wall.
On this wall, we'll have no waste.
Other than maybe the window.
Wait.
It's getting covered, so yeah.
No, I was just wondering, like, are we short any? But literally,
No.
it worked out
It works out
perfectly. Where's your nailer?
We just said it at the same time.
And then put your... Okay, I'm gonna hit this corner right here.
Mm-hmm. Do what you got.
And then we'll just check it for plum skis. Even though it actually doesn't even matter because it's all getting covered.
Right, it doesn't. So we'll just gap it appropriately.
No, it still matters. Come on.
Come on, man. You're gonna do that to me?
Here.
No, go on the other side.
I want it on your side where you're trying to work. You know? Okay, well, that's amazing. You know, Greg, how about this? I have this idea, and it involves me going down, us putting up the next 8 straights, getting to the cuts, and then me cutting while, instead of like, I don't know if I need to be up here. I feel like you're more than capable. In fact, I think I'm just gonna eyeball these because I feel like I'm more than capable of doing that. Don't you agree?
Well, I think we got a system down now.
All right, yep, you pay a nice nail.
Yep. That pig is not happy.
Would you be? He's going to the slaughterhouse, my guy.
You win some, you lose some, I guess. Hit this guy again. It's a hit joint.
Cool. I can't believe it. And this gap is totally fine because we're gonna be putting a 3.5-inch trim right here, like this. It worked out pretty darn good, man.
Pretty darn good.
Let's go down.
That was pretty good, huh?
I barely moved my hand, dude. All right, so we got all this up. Greg's gonna wrap up those last couple pieces up there. We've got window trim flashings to make up. We're gonna do that this afternoon, evening. We'll get back here tomorrow. We'll install those. We'll get the correct nailers, the correct nails, so we can get all this nailed off, which isn't gonna be a whole lot of great content, so we'll kind of bust through that. And then it will be time for, on this side, corner trims, rake trims, freeze boards, and then we can put battens on. That's gonna really shape up the corner here. And by then, our concrete guys should be good to go. We can set doors and then get back to kind of the main house section where we gotta finish up Versetta stone and then move on to Smartsides.
And
a
porch.
Yes. While they're here, they're gonna be hopefully working on this porch pad, which means we'll be able to frame our porch, get all that done, and that would be awesome. And then finish the Versetta stone there. So yeah, man, this was one day we got this big 2 sides of the garage done. 2 weeks.
Next week, we should have a lot of it.
Weather permitting.
Weather permitting that, fingers crossed.
We'll see. It depends on how hard we want to work.
My goal is to get as much of the exterior done before the baby comes.
100%. I can frame walls myself.
Yes.
I agree. I can actually do all of this myself.
And who knows, maybe a week will go by, I'll get bored and be like, all right, I'm coming back to work. I don't know if that to be the case, but we'll see how the first week goes.
I'm trying to think what is the thing that I want you here for. Because I know I could build the porch myself. I know I could put the roof.
In the garage.
Yeah, garage ceiling.
Whenever the garage happens.
Yeah, but I could have that all prepped. Ah, that sounds horrible. I'm about to, oh wait. My son will be here.
We got Cole.
My son's graduating high school in a couple days, so I'll actually have him here. So, take as much time as you need, Greg. He's a lot cheaper than you are. All right, we're on to this next end wall, and 2 things are different. One, we've got stone wainscot caps. So the nice thing is these will be all one-piecers, no scraps up top. And the other nice thing is Greg and I both have our Paslode CFS nailers, which means we don't have a stupid compressor running all day and we don't have hoses to deal with. And I don't have to set it on the ground because the hose is attached. I will be able to have my nailer on me all day. So that's awesome. And this gun works really well. So Greg is gonna get me an initial measurement. We've got the laser set up on the middle. This wall worked out perfect where we're gonna have a batten right in the middle, which means we'll have a split board, and then that should work out perfect to the corner. So 1/16 1/4, 412 pitch. Let's do it. Yeah, that is, look at that consistency. That is literally exactly how you want them to be. So with vertical siding, you got your nailing pattern around the perimeter. We go 8 inches, but also we need to put 2 nails here. And what I do is I take my scrap piece, get an exact dimension, so when I put it on here, I've got 2 marks on this scrap piece, so I know exactly where to put my nail. That way they look consistent, because these are going to be face nailed, and you will see that nail even though it's going to get painted. But that way I can have consistent nail spacing on the visual ends. Just a little tip, a little simple trick for you guys. I hope I make you happy this time.
Well, let's see. Much better.
Oh, by the way, if you guys didn't see my porch roof framing video where I showed this square, this is a prototype that I worked with Martinez on, because this square Mark designed, I don't know, years ago, and it's awesome because you just kind of slide it around, blah, blah, blah. But you have to set this perfectly on numbers to get your pitches, your rafter cuts, all that good stuff. With this design here, check it out. I put this knob down here at the common pivot, and then I could just move this guy super easy to any pitch. Right now we're doing a 412, tighten it down, and we've got 412 pitch, boom, whatever, right? But it also does hip valleys. If you move this pivot point up here, now we have the hip valley measurements. So if you're working on a roof doing hip and valley, now there's my 412 hip valley cut. Pretty dang sweet. If you guys think this would be handy, let me know so I can let them know to kind of get this into production and get it for sale. So I think it was a miss that they didn't keep making this, but this was like a $500 and some square. And it's a lot to do with these guys, but these are a much simpler design that Jim came up with, the engineer over there, and they're pretty sweet. Check this out. I'm just gonna show it to you. Okay, there's like an offset hole. So you don't have to screw the whole thing in every time. You just push it at an angle. Once you screw it, a couple screws, and it's tight. Pretty slick design, and easy on off. But anyway, that was a little side mission that we just went on right there together. I just wanted to share that. I think it's pretty cool.
Oh, you're going over here?
Guess so.
Eat my dirt, kid.
How's the cut?
Pretty good.
Just say decent, man. Say good enough to cover with a piece of trim.
Obviously.
All right, 11 and a half. What was the height?
The height, okay, so we got 39 and an eighth.
39 and an eighth.
And then 63 and 3/16.
63, 3/16. 11 and a half?
11 and a half over. And on that 63 and 3/16, don't be afraid to like take like 30 seconds
I got you, brother.
more on that, because that's like exactly to the top of that trim.
I got you, man. I know what you got going on. I did my best. I just want you to be happy. If you want me to be happy, you can stop dropping dirt on me. Back tight. Whoa, Kyle. That's enough paint. All right, we're gonna get started right here in the center peak of this gable porch, right off the center of the door. Reason being, A, it's kind of like that's where your eye's gonna go, right in the center, but also it's very symmetrical, this wall. So basically where we start, we can make sure that we don't hit battens on these doors, windows, all that good stuff. And this is our best layout. So Greg and I have already done that. You got that piece of wood down there? Mm-hmm. Nice. And we're gonna need to bring the boom in eventually.
Yeah, eventually. Mm-hmm. We won't worry about it right now.
Yep. I mean, I'm still worried about it.
No, we won't worry about it.
I'm kind of worried about it. Okay, push it in. Right there, right there. Don't let it go. Mm-hmm. It's on you, man. Okay, wait, don't do anything. Don't do anything. Got it. Okay, all good, buddy. Good. I don't like working off a ladder. I would much rather be in the boom lift.
We all make decisions.
I know. Okay. Okay. Boom, boom, boom.
Wait, what's wrong with the one before?
Nah, just wanted better, you know? I didn't know we had like quotas that we could.
Put a little extra in that corner.
Hang on. How's that Nature's Paintbrush working?
It's great, actually. Honestly, like it's pretty decent.
It's kind of like when someone told us to use the empty cigarette butts.
Yeah.
It didn't work for crap, actually.
Great in theory.
Yeah. You've done better, but I think your finger does better.
I think I was just making do with what I had. Ouch, ouch, ouch. There we go.
It's definitely a little tight.
I would agree, but
You wanna know why?
you did not add your...
No, I didn't. I did the best I could, man. God, I hope we're better.
Much better.
I hope we're better this time. Are we better this time?
Much better.
This time?
Much better.
Okay.
Man, whoever did this got some great measurements.
Whoever cut this definitely did some good cutting. Let me tell you.
But the cuts are only as good as the measurements.
But the measurements only turn out as good as the cut man cuts them, you know? Otherwise, you'd probably think if the cuts were bad, that the measurements were bad, but that's not always the case.
What comes first, the chicken or the egg,
The
you
cuts.
know?
I'm gonna take this measurement this time before I give it to you, Greg.
Okay. Just remember you're going also past this window, so you'll have to add your window to that.
Yeah, but this will be my top measurement.
Sure.
64 3/16.
Yeah. We'll probably get one and then the porch.
I think we got two.
Going around the post.
All right, guys, we're moving through the siding. I'm trying to get all this board up. We're not really moving on to trims and windows yet because I just want to get all the board installed. But we're onto this detail here where I want to show you guys, we've got a kick-out flashing up there. Kick-out flashing's very important. And I just want to show you how we get our Smartside around that, how we detail it. So let's go in the lift and let's take a look. All right, so a couple things to note. First off, you'll notice we started here actually and just filled in the corner, but what I like to do is plan a full piece right here. We already know that this is gonna have a joint. We already know that we're gonna have to cut around all this, and it just makes it easier if you kind of plan out your pieces so that you have minimal, you have to get around all these flashings. So Greg, go ahead and hand me this piece up and I'll show you what I mean. You see how we have these kind of angle cuts? This is trying to stay close, reduce the gapping, and place for water, but we've got our kick-out flash. So water coming down is gonna hit this kick-out flashing and go into the gutter versus run right behind your siding, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and put some sealant. Always double check these, make sure everything fits before you start painting and doing your sealant, which we did, we already put this in. But I'm gonna shoot some Lexel, clear Lexel, we know it's gonna seal up real nice. This is just an added protection, okay? And then we're gonna take this piece. And it's not easy to get in. There we go. Wait, oh, I missed it, Greg.
You can bend that. Yep, there you go. Like that. It kind of like rolls.
No, I'm gonna have to. I don't know how we got that in the first time.
I went in straight with it.
Straight?
Yeah, like, so like come out.
I can't go straight.
And then that, and just roll it in, kinda.
No, that's not gonna work.
The other thing you can do is like cup it. And that should give you, that's how it came out.
Wait a
A little
second.
bit of cupping.
There we go. Just had to bend it down a little bit. Okay, so couple things. One, let me get this. Are you good down there, Greg?
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and tack this up. So a couple things I did. First off, I've got a piece of 1-inch foam. It just doesn't hurt anything. It's not like gonna scratch my trim. But this 1-inch foam is what's gonna be my guide for my rips or my cuts going up this flashing, right? So I cut straight over. This is where my angle is gonna start. So that's one thing I did. This also keeps this area somewhat dry. We don't have wood here. Water's gonna work its way down, work its way over. And this is all on an angle. And this is now sealed with Lexel around here. So really, I think this is great. We are under a 2-foot overhang, so this is gonna see minimal water anyway, but I just wanted to show you guys this detail, and then we will also, oops, that'd be Lexel. We will also seal this off right down here. So hope that helps. Kick out flashing's important. We're gonna keep moving through this board, but I wanted to show you that, guys. All right, so when moving through these garage doors, I'm gonna show you a flashing detail because since we are installing all of our board first, our battens and trims will go over top of our board. It means we have to detail our garage door trims a little bit different than normal. So let's take you up there and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is install our jam trim, which is just a piece of 4/4. Greg, take that end. You got your nailer underneath you, mine's down low.
Yep.
Let's flip it around. Let's throw factory out.
I like that.
Painted it. Oops. Hey. All right, you got it?
Yeah.
All right.
Hello.
Yeah, you weren't moving fast enough for me, man.
Oh, you needed my gun.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. All right, so I'm just flushing this up.
Remember, you got
Let me
foam.
throw a couple.
You got foam.
Yeah, I know. Here you go.
And then
Yep. Okay, come on in here and go ahead and hit one. Well, let's do our measurement.
Was it 2? Oh, yeah. 4 foot right here.
Yep.
And then, do you remember the 2 and what? 2 1/4? Or was it 2 inches? For inside.
2 1/4, 5 1/2 edge. Okay. I'm gonna make a mark. Got to be 2 foot on center with your nailing pattern on your trims. So that's not really the detail that I wanted to share with you. I mean, that's pretty standard, putting your trims on the inside of your opening. But because we're gonna be putting our actual like casing trims and battens over the board, we're gonna run the board first. We need to flash this opening properly so that if water is behind the board, since the battens are kind of an open system, it can run out properly. So we've got a piece of flashing with a kick out. This is actually gonna go like so. And the reason we have to do this is because if something comes down the backside of this nice rain screened Benjamin Opdyke Hydro Gap, it's gonna go out and drip out instead of coming back in here and doing any damage to this siding. So this flashing here has to go on before our board, but the problem is this side actually doesn't go on, this trim, until our board goes on so that we can cut it flush and install it flush to the outside of our board where our trim is gonna cap. So what we need to do, Greg, or move this, is I need to mark in a 1/2 inch. That 1/2 inch is what's going to be where our trim is going to end up eventually. So you have to kind of either believe what I'm saying or stay tuned, and when we do probably the next video on Smartside and finish up all these trims, you'll see how this all comes together. But I want to give you guys the background knowledge of where that's coming from. Greg, I am on my 1/2 inch mark, so go ahead and get a 1/2 inch mark.
You're on your mark?
Yeah. Okay, 1/2 inch in.
1/2 inch in.
So we're gonna take this piece of trim and we're going to set it on those 1/2 inch marks right there, and then we're gonna flush it to the bottom of this trim here. Just gonna kind of tap these in. I want to make sure that this header looks beautiful, which it does. So here's one more for you. We're gonna nail this off. We're gonna tape this back to the hydro gap, and then now we can install our board over this. And then if you guys want to see the point of this and kind of how this all comes together, the next step in this process will be when we do all of our final trims. But I wanted to show you that this is installed underneath the board, and if you don't do this, you could have an issue potentially. Okay, I guess I wanted to kind of squeegee so when I roll it up, it doesn't come undone.
Oh, it didn't for me. I just pressed it with my hand and then it was fine.
Okay. Wait, all the tape?
Yep, all the tape.
Okay, well,
Trust.
to each his own. I don't like that, but whatever.
You're gonna love it, actually.
Well, I just don't like grabbing the adhesive with gloves. That's,
That's
literally
fair.
the problem.
That is fair. I don't have gloves on, so I don't have to worry about that. Wasn't that easy?
Now, one thing that we actually learned by mistake is because the way this whole flashing system works on the door, you will see, if you look really closely, the bottom of our panel. It will be underneath our trim, but with Smartside, above any flashings, you have to have a 3/8 minimum gap. So we will have a gap above that flashing of 3/8. That's where our trim will be. So what we do is we paint our bottom edges all black. And if you look closely, you'll see the panel, but trust me, and
It's only on board and batten.
it's only on board and batten. It's only when you trim over your siding like we do that you have to do this detail. If you put your trim on first, you would trim this out and then you would flash the top of the trim, then do your 3/8 gap. We will be flashing the top of our trim, but not the same way. So the black just hides it from everybody's eye. All right, that wraps up the board. Honestly, once you get the board up, this is gonna fly because now we're gonna move on to trims. We've got all of our trims that outline the perimeters, our battens that go over top of these gaps, and we have our window trims that we need to pre-assemble. So that's what we're gonna do next in the next video, guys, and that's where all the details really are. That's what I think really showcases the beauty of LP Smartside, is putting on the trims. So if you're interested in seeing how this really shapes up, stay tuned. We're gonna move into that in the next video, but for now, we're gonna go ahead, kind of wrap up some minor stuff, but that's the board install for LP. We'll see you on the next video.